Picture this scenario. It is 7:02 a.m. in the financial heart of Zurich. A CFO opens her morning briefing. It is not a cumbersome 47-page PDF that an associate spent all night frantically assembling. Instead, it is a real-time, fully interactive briefing that was compiled, analyzed, and formatted by her AI co-pilot while she slept. Revenue anomalies have been flagged with precision. Regulatory changes across 3 different jurisdictions have been highlighted. Cash flow projections have been updated automatically with yesterday's actuals, and competitive intelligence has been summarized into actionable insights. Everything is presented in an IBCS-compliant format, and every single data point is verified and auditable. She spends exactly 12 minutes reviewing the data, makes 2 vital strategic decisions, and sends 3 directives to her team. Meanwhile, her competitor's CFO is still waiting for last month's management report to arrive at noon, likely with errors. The gap between these 2 CFOs will become unclosable in the next 36 months. This is not a glimpse into a distant science fiction future. It is the reality we are building today. In the next 3 years, the gap between the CFO who utilizes an AI co-pilot and the one who does not won't just be a competitive advantage. It will be an absolute abyss. Which CFO will you be? The one making decisions at dawn with real-time intelligence, or the one still waiting for outdated numbers at midday? Let me be very clear about something that many AI companies get fundamentally wrong. The future of finance is not about AI replacing CFOs. That is a lazy, inaccurate narrative pushed by people who have never actually managed a P&L. The true future is AI amplifying what great CFOs already do. There are things AI does better than any human, such as processing 10,000 data points in seconds, monitoring global regulatory changes 24/7, detecting anomalies humans would miss, and generating compliant reports instantly. AI never forgets, never tires, and never has a bad day. Conversely, there are things humans do better than any AI. Strategic judgment, stakeholder relationships, ethical reasoning, creative problem-solving, and reading the room in a board meeting. AI processes. Humans decide. AI monitors. Humans strategize. AI reports. Humans lead. This synergy gives the CFO superpowers. From a governance perspective, when AI handles the monitoring and reporting, it doesn't just save time. It creates a flawless audit trail. Every calculation is verified, and every report version is controlled. This makes the CFO more defensible, more compliant, and significantly more confident in every number they present to the board. In my book, Me and My Relationship with 1,000+ AI Agents, I describe the trust ladder, which is the journey every organization must take when adopting AI. Trust isn't assumed. It is earned step by step. The AI proves itself in shadow mode before receiving more responsibility. This is the opposite of how most companies deploy AI, throwing it in and panicking when things go wrong. At every rung of the ladder, the human remains in control, able to override or pull back. Trust without control is not trust. It is recklessness. There is also a unique, underappreciated opportunity in the DACH regulatory environment, Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. While many see the complexity of 3 jurisdictions and 200+ yearly regulatory changes as a burden, I see it as a massive competitive advantage for AI co-pilot adoption. No human team can track all of this in real time, but an AI co-pilot can. It monitors changes in every language and jurisdiction, analyzing the specific impact on your business. While others use AI for marketing copy, DACH companies can use it for something far more valuable: regulatory intelligence and compliance automation. Here is my honest forecast for the next 36 months. In the first 12 months, early adopters will deploy co-pilots for specific functions like reporting and monitoring, seeing 40 to 60% time savings. Between months 12 and 24, the gap becomes visible. These companies will close books in days instead of weeks and catch compliance issues before regulators do. by months 24 to 36, the gap becomes structural. AI-augmented teams will have moved into predictive intelligence, real-time scenario modeling, and continuous risk assessment. The uncomfortable truth is that companies that haven't started by month 24 won't be able to catch up by month 36. The early movers will be accelerating, benefiting from a compounding advantage where every month of experience makes the system better and more customized. The window to lead is open now, but it will not stay open forever. In 3 years, will you wish you had started today? Or will you be the one that others are desperately trying to follow? Consider this stark reality. Your chief competitor's CFO received her strategic morning briefing today at exactly 7:12 a.m. It was a comprehensive, high-level overview covering revenue trends, cash flow projections, regulatory alerts, and competitive movements, all synthesized, perfectly formatted, and fully verified. It took her exactly 12 minutes to review the entire state of her global operations, leaving her the rest of the morning for high-level strategic planning. Meanwhile, what is your team currently doing? They are likely still frantically trying to close last month's books. Your management report might be ready by Thursday, maybe, if the consolidation numbers finally arrive on time from the regional offices. And when it does eventually arrive, it will be a 40-page mountain of complex tables that almost nobody reads past page 7. Your competitor is making critical decisions using today's data, while you are forced to make decisions based on last month's history. I am not exaggerating this competitive gap. Having spoken to dozens of CFOs across the DACH region, I see the same pattern repeating everywhere. Incredibly smart people and high-performing finance teams are drowning in manual reporting processes that were designed for the year 2010. For many organizations, a standard month-end close still takes between 8 and 15 business days, with the management report trailing another 3 to 5 days behind that. By the time the CFO actually sees the finalized numbers, the information is at least 3 weeks old. Strategic decisions are being made on information that is already stale. Furthermore, these reports are usually built manually in Excel by talented analysts who are forced to spend 70% of their time on data gathering and formatting, and perhaps only 30% on actual value-added analysis. When you realize that 70% of your top-tier financial talent is being wasted on copy-pasting and cell formatting, you realize that it isn't just an inefficient reporting process. It is a professional tragedy. According to research from McKinsey, finance teams still spend up to 80% of their time on data collection and only 20% on analysis. That ratio needs to flip immediately. Your best financial analysts should not spend the majority of their day on tasks that a machine could do better, faster, and with zero errors. This is entirely solvable, and not through a $1 million consulting engagement that takes 6 months to implement. Transformation can happen in just 30 days. Let me quickly walk you through the practical, weekly, step-by-step journey. Week 1. Data integration. Week 2. Pattern recognition. Week 3. Formatting and verification. Week 4. The briefing engine. I want to emphasize the importance of IBCS. This isn't just a formatting preference. It is a strategic advantage. When a CFO presents IBCS-compliant reports to a board, they no longer waste time explaining the format or the legend. The conversation shifts instantly from, "What am I looking at?" to, "What should we do about it?" This represents a massive upgrade in the quality of strategic dialogue. When these reports are generated, formatted, and verified automatically every single day, you create a level of reporting discipline that most companies can only dream about. Look at the transformation. Daily intelligence instead of monthly lag. Continuous close instead of a 2-week scramble. Analysts doing real analysis instead of formatting spreadsheets. Most importantly, board preparation shifts from a 3-hour argument over which numbers are correct to a 30-minute strategic review. This isn't just an incremental improvement. It is a fundamental step change in how a finance function operates. It allows you to catch anomalies in real time instead of discovering them weeks too late. I know you may wonder if this works for your specific data, your legacy systems, and your unique reporting requirements. That is a fair question, and the only honest way to answer it is to see it for yourself. Compare it to what you are receiving now, and decide for yourself whether this transformation is worth 30 days of your time. This technology is already built, proven, and running within our ecosystem. You wouldn't be building from scratch. You'd be customizing something that is already battle-tested. Every day you wait is another day your best talent is being wasted on tasks machines can do better. What is that delay costing your organization in lost opportunities and wasted talent? The window to lead is open now. Start tomorrow. It is Q4, and the ESG reporting deadline is exactly 6 weeks away. Somewhere in your organization, a dedicated team of 4 to 6 senior professionals has just been abruptly pulled from their regular responsibilities to manage what I call the annual fire drill. They are currently scrambling to collect fragmented data from 12 disparate departments, environmental metrics from facilities, social data from HR, governance records from legal, and supply chain disclosures from procurement. None of these departments use the same systems, the same data formats, or even the same definitions. Spreadsheets are flying back and forth via email. Version control is a total fantasy, and a single calculation error discovered in week 4 might invalidate 3 entire sections of the final report. Suddenly, the deadline moves from comfortable to total panic overnight. Last year, 73% of Dutch companies reported that ESG reporting was not just an inconvenience, but a significant operational burden. And the situation is only intensifying. With CSRD, EU taxonomy, and SFDR, reporting requirements are expanding annually, deadlines are tightening, and the penalties for getting it wrong are getting steeper. If your ESG reporting is an annual fire drill that consumes your best talent for 6 weeks, what is the actual cost of your compliance? I am not talking about the filing fee. I am talking about the real hidden costs that never appear in a budget. Let's break down the math. You are pulling 4 to 6 senior people off their actual roles for 6 to 8 weeks. That represents 24 to 48 person weeks of lost productivity. In the DACH region, at senior staff salary rates, that equates to roughly CHF 150,000 to 400,000 in diverted salary costs alone. Then you must add the external consultants, which can run between CHF 50,000 and 200,000 depending on complexity. Finally, consider the error correction. When working manually under extreme pressure, mistakes are inevitable. Each significant correction can cost between CHF 20,000 and 100,000 when you factor in the restatement, re-audit, and formal regulatory notification. Most importantly, consider the strategic projects that are currently delayed because your top performers were busy hunting down carbon emission data across a dozen disconnected spreadsheets. You budget for the consultants, but do you budget for the 48 person weeks of lost momentum? Now, imagine a fundamentally different approach. Continuous ESG compliance. Instead of collecting data once a year in a panic, the data is collected every single day, automatically, from every relevant source. It is validated as it arrives and formatted as it is stored. In this model, the annual report is no longer a 6-week ordeal. It is a single button press. The report is simply a snapshot of what the system already knows and has already verified. This means you are compliant every single day of the year. When a regulator calls unexpectedly, and they do, you don't panic. You pull the current report and send it that same afternoon, complete with full audit trails, data lineage, and total confidence. There is also a massive competitive angle that most companies miss entirely. When you are continuously compliant, you can respond to tender processes that require ESG documentation in days instead of weeks. You can answer investor inquiries with current data rather than last year's stale numbers. You can proactively share progress with stakeholders instead of defensively reacting to their questions. Regulators get better data, investors get transparency, customers get faster responses, and your board gets continuous visibility. Most importantly, your team gets to stop dreading the fourth quarter. The regulatory wave currently building is unlike anything we have ever seen. The Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, is expanding to cover 50,000 companies across Europe, many for the first time. The EU taxonomy requires detailed classification of every economic activity, while the SFDR demands rigorous sustainability disclosures. These are no longer optional. They carry severe financial penalties. Companies still relying on manual fire drills will simply break under this administrative load. However, companies with continuous compliance in place will barely notice the change. For them, adding a new framework is merely a configuration update, not a 6-month crisis. If you recognized your own organization in the annual fire drill description, you are not alone. You don't have to solve this from scratch. We've built an ESG compliance satellite that handles exactly this transformation: continuous data collection, automated validation, and multi-framework reporting. It is already running and proven in production. The companies that turn ESG compliance from a burden into an advantage won't just survive the regulatory wave, they will ride it. Will yours be one of them? The average company currently wastes 42% of its total marketing budget. This isn't just a matter of slight underperformance or minor optimization opportunities. We are talking about literal waste, money that produces absolutely zero measurable business outcomes. If I told a CFO that 42% of their IT infrastructure budget was being flushed away, they would launch a comprehensive audit tomorrow. If 42% of a factory's raw materials were discarded at the end of the day, someone would be fired immediately. Yet, in the world of marketing, this level of waste is frequently tolerated, filed under the vague heading of brand awareness, and rarely questioned with the same financial rigor as other departments. The most fascinating part is that the technology to eliminate the majority of this waste already exists today. AI has the power to identify which 42% of your spend is destined to fail before you actually spend it. Most companies, however, continue to throw money at broad campaigns, hope for the best, and call it strategy. To fix this, you first need to understand the 5 specific places where this waste occurs. These are detectable and preventable through the right AI orchestration. First is wrong audience, targeting people who have zero intent or need for your product. Second is wrong timing, reaching potential customers when they aren't in a buying window. Third is wrong message, delivering creative that doesn't resonate with the specific psychological triggers of the segment. Fourth is wrong channel, spending on platforms where your audience isn't active or attentive. Finally, no attribution, having no clear data on which touchpoints actually led to a conversion. When you add these up, you find your 42% waste. Every single one of these types is preventable. When I speak about AI marketing orchestration, I am not talking about using AI to generate simple blog posts or generic ad copy. I am talking about marketing intelligence, the brain behind the budget decisions. It is about making every dollar accountable, every campaign optimized in real time, and every result measured with precision. What if your CMO could walk into every board meeting and state exactly what was spent, what it produced, and precisely where the next quarter's investment should go? This fundamentally transforms the CFO-CMO relationship. Marketing spend is often the largest unaccountable budget line in a company. AI orchestration turns it into a financial discipline tool. This transformation allows the CFO to see real numbers and real accountability. Every marketing dollar is tracked from initial spend to pipeline to final revenue. This shifts marketing from a cost center that the CFO simply tolerates during growth periods into a high-performance growth engine that the CFO actively champions. When marketing becomes predictable, it changes the entire planning process for the organization. Revenue forecasting becomes more accurate, budget allocation becomes truly data-driven, and board presentations include marketing ROI with the same rigor as operational or production metrics. For companies operating in the DACH region, Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, marketing complexity is significantly amplified. You aren't just marketing in one language. You are often operating in German, French, Italian, and English simultaneously. Each of these markets has vastly different preferences, platform behaviors, and cultural nuances. A consumer in Zurich responds differently than one in Vienna. What converts in Munich might fall completely flat in Basel. A human team, no matter how talented, cannot manually optimize campaigns across 4 languages and multiple microsegments in real time. An AI marketing orchestrator handles this complexity natively, learning the nuances of each specific market and adapting messaging and timing for every segment across all countries at once. In this sense, the complexity of the Dutch market makes AI orchestration even more valuable. The bigger the complexity, the bigger the optimization opportunity. If you are looking at your marketing budget and wondering where that 42% is going, it is time for a framework-driven audit. I am offering a marketing waste audit framework that helps you identify these 5 waste types within your own organization. This is a diagnostic tool your team can use immediately to find the leaks in your budget. If you are interested, DM me the word growth on LinkedIn. I will send you the framework so you can assess your situation, regardless of what technology you choose to implement later. In our next topic, I will explain why building AI capabilities from scratch is the most expensive mistake a company can make in 2026, and show you the smarter alternative. 42% of your budget is currently producing nothing. What is that silence worth to your bottom line? The technology to stop the waste is here. It is time to use it. Every company that has attempted to build its own AI agent ecosystem from scratch shares one common, painful realization. They wish they hadn't. I have watched this specific pattern repeat dozens of times across the corporate landscape. A leadership team gets excited about the potential of artificial intelligence, approves a significant budget, and then either hires a new team or, more frequently, asks their existing IT staff to figure it out. 6 months later, they have a prototype that looks impressive in a controlled demo, but consistently breaks in a production environment. 12 months later, the budget has been doubled, the delivery timeline has been pushed back, and the original team lead has often quietly resigned. By the 18-month mark, they might have something that technically functions, but it lacks compliance requirements, has no audit trails, possesses no governance framework, and offers no clear path to the return on investment, ROI, promised in the original business case. According to Gartner, the failure rate for custom AI projects is a staggering 85%. These projects don't just underperform, they fail to deliver any measurable ROI. Even those that eventually succeed typically take 2 to 3 times longer and cost 2 to 4 times more than originally budgeted. Would you accept an 85% failure rate for any other major investment your company makes? Whether it is a product launch, a factory expansion, or a high-stakes acquisition, that level of risk would be deemed unacceptable. Why, then, is it tolerated for AI? The decision to build from scratch versus customizing a proven platform is ultimately a financial one, and the math is not even close. On the build side, you are looking at 12 to 24 months of development, a cost of 1.5 to 4 million Swiss francs, and that massive 85% failure risk. On the customized side, you can reach production in 30 to 45 days at a fraction of the cost, using a foundation that is already battle-tested for security and compliance. When you build from scratch, you aren't just building the AI. You are building the security layer, the governance framework, the audit system, the compliance checks, and the self-healing monitoring from zero. When you customize our proven platform, you are leveraging a foundation that has been refined through the deployment of over 550 agents. And by the time you read this, likely over 1,000 production-ready autonomous agents. Beyond the visible development costs, there are hidden expenses that rarely make it into the initial business case but often kill projects. First is talent. Finding engineers who understand AI, enterprise architecture, and security in the DOC market is incredibly difficult. You are looking at CHF 180,000 to 250,000 per engineer, and you need a team of at least 5. Second is maintenance. Building is the easy part. Maintaining is the expensive part. Models change, APIs break, and security threats evolve. You should budget an additional 30 to 40% of the initial build cost annually just for maintenance. Third is opportunity cost. Every month your team spends debugging an authentication layer is a month they aren't delivering business value. Finally, there is the cost of failure. When a 2 million franc project delivers nothing, it creates organizational trauma that can set your AI adoption back by years. When your custom build fails, who presents that write-off to the board? The smarter alternative is our satellite architecture. Think of it like a computer's operating system. You don't build the OS just to run an application. Our ecosystem is the secure, compliant operating system, and our satellites are production-ready applications specialized for specific business needs. We offer 4 key satellites: the CFO Intelligence Briefing, delivering daily strategic signals instead of monthly lags; the ESG Compliance Engine, turning annual fire drills into continuous automated compliance; the Marketing Orchestrator, eliminating the 42% budget waste through precise intelligence; the Foundation Fleet, a secure environment for managing 1,000 autonomous agents. These aren't just demos or PowerPoint slides. They are production systems running real workloads with established security protocols. We offer a 30-day pilot process to move from conversation to production with absolute clarity. At the end of 30 days, you have a definitive answer. If it works, we scale. If it doesn't, you have invested only a fraction of the time and capital required by a custom build. No 18-month gamble, just clarity. The future of enterprise AI is not about who builds the most powerful agents from scratch, but about who builds the most trustworthy, secure, and accountable ones. The companies that win will be those smart enough to customize what is already proven and start generating value immediately while their competitors are still stuck in planning meetings.